of 2 Samuel chapter 6 in the King James Version. Again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baal of Judah to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah, and Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart, and they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God. And Ahio went before the ark, and David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps and on psalteries, and on timbrels, and on cornets, and on cymbals. And when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of God. And David was displeased because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Perez Uzzah to this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day, and said, how shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him unto the city of David. But David carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. And it was told King David, saying, the Lord hath blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that pertaineth unto him, because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of David with gladness. And it was so, that when they that bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord. And she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one a cake of bread, and a good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, every one to his house. Then David returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself. And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord, which chose me before thy father and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord, and I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be base in mine own sight, and of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of. Of them shall I be had in honor. Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death. Okay, so there was a lot here. A lot. Now we're going to learn what really happens too, because in here, I believe in, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments and such, but I believe in here it talks about how, because David goes and takes the ark on a cart, knowing that is not correct. The Ark of the Covenant is supposed to be carried by whom? the Levites, the Levitical priests who have been sanctified, who have gone through the process of becoming holy, who have cleansed themselves. And people of around are to be holy and to have cleansed themselves, to carry the holy ark of the covenant, the holy ark of the Lord God. Instead, they put it on a wagon. And of course, the ox is going to be an ox. An animal is going to be an animal. This isn't the same as when the Philistines put the ark on an ox-driven cart and it went neither left or right, but went straight back to Israel. This isn't the same thing. This is now with the people, and the people understand, or supposed to understand, right? Who God is, and to honor him and reverence and follow his guidance. So it shows us that they were not. But when we get into, I believe it's Chronicles, where it does a revision, and not a revision, but it goes through all of this information and gives us even more detail. I believe that the second time, when he goes out after getting the ark back from Obed Edom, I believe that the Levites, actually he utilizes the Levites in this case to carry the ark correctly and not on a cart. So what happened here in verse 6, and when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of God. Because Uzzah was just a person, and it doesn't give us a whole lot of information as to the character or who this person was. Obviously, he wasn't cleansed, and obviously, he wasn't a Levite. If he may have been, correct me if I'm wrong, if his family line is somewhere in the Bible and he's a Levite, but the process was not done. The process of cleansing was not done, and so, therefore, they were already supposed to be following the guidelines instead of putting it on a cart. It reminds me of something. It's New Year. There's a term that may be utilized if you half do something. Half blank do something. You may have heard of it before, including a cartoon, a famous cartoon, utilized a specific character based off of another character, where in regards to half doing things, it was a lampoon off of, making things complete. Whereas in this case, they were somewhat kind of doing things, but not really to completion. And this is the case. And this is something that we can take from past to present, bringing past to present. Do we do that? Do we cut corners, or are we witnesses of cutting corners? I mean, not only guilty as charged, but yes, I've also witnessed it. I've witnessed people cutting corners. Absolutely. I myself do it occasionally. And I'm being honest. Am I one to read directions? Absolutely. But where there's corners to be cut, where my creative mind, I blame it on my creative mind. Right? We're all creative. Isn't that so creative? I know you've probably seen those videos. Or everyone's so creative, right? It goes to show the Lord does have a sense of humor with us. He has to. Otherwise, it's like anger all the time. And that's the thing. Like, the whole Israel as a nation was cutting corners at this time. They were not following the Lord's direction. They were just happy to get the ark back and not doing what it took to honor and reverence the Lord God, to understand who brought him all the good, because everything good comes from above, and that still reigns true today. So when we half do things, whatever it may be, half do things in a relationship, half do things in life, whether it be tasks or half do things to completion, and then be dissatisfied or have consequences from those things. I mean, and then they stack up, and we may be, oh, I'm okay, I really just half did it. But those things stack up. Those things stay in our minds. So when there's another failure or there's another thing, it creates a stacking in our own thoughts and feelings, right? Because we're so into our thoughts and feelings, right? And it stacks and it stacks and it stacks up until we get to a point where either we become numb or we become hard of heart. Yeah, hard of heart. Who else was like that? The Pharaoh? Who else was like that? People throughout the Bible who it talks about, the nations, who it talks about even the people that supposedly were to be following the Lord. They were not. And so think about that. Think about how much it affects us when we half do things. Is it good to be a half representation of the Lord's love? Is that where that hypocrite and where that those thoughts and feelings from others who have yet to, but are judging based off of what they see is supposed to be a person that living a Christ-like life? Oh yeah, this is serious. Brand new year, brand new you, wisdom from the Lord that is eternal and timeless. Before we go on to the next chapter though, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel and what does it make you think?